You're welcome. Up next, we have Robert Glaspy and Tamarah Fischer representing CAPE, testifying on the same bill, Senate Bill 231.
Hello, good afternoon. We want to thank you, chairpersons Kushner, Porter, committee members, and concerned citizens. We want to thank you for bringing this bill forward. Thank you for the opportunity to be here and express ourselves. We sit here today representing over 20,000 EMS providers in this state who at one point or another had no voice. I'm the director of the External Affairs for the Connecticut Association of Paramedics and EMTs. EMS providers were originally appalled at the fact that so many people in governmental roles were placed in a situation where EMS providers were being left out of the bill last session. It meant that while our brothers and sisters in law enforcement and fire could be riding in the same ambulance as an EMS provider, we wouldn't have been provided the same opportunity to seek help through workers' comp in the case of a qualifying event. I think it's now clear and understood that we all arrive on the same scene at the same time and fight the same fight as frontline first responders. We thank you for taking the time to listen to our stories. We thank you for all of your hard work, your time, and the effort that you put into the inclusion of EMS providers. CAPE and EMS providers across the state thank everyone for their support. We're all aware of cases of frontline first responders who have committed suicide or deal with issues resulting from PTSI. However, it is our hope that the inclusion of EMS in this bill, as discussed and promised last session, will come to fruition. It will equip EMS providers with the tools and the abilities and opportunities to take care of themselves so that we can take care of others. If you watched any of the conversation on record in the last Senate or in the last session, one major theme came up time and time again, and that was the fact that EMS providers should have been included. I'm willing to help try to answer any questions that you may have or concerns.
Thank you for your testimony, and thank you on behalf of this committee for the work that you do. Critical, much needed, and much appreciated. Any comments or questions from the committee? Yes, Representative Winkler.
I just actually wanted to amplify your last statement. So a deal was made. We get to the session at the House, and speaker after speaker after speaker on both sides of the aisle got up and said EMS should be included. I'm sure the home viewer was saying, well, why don't one of you make the amendment?
That's about it.
But because there was a deal, and because in this building all you have is your word, nobody could adjust fast enough. And it's about time that we correct our error. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. You're welcome. Yes, Senator Minor.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. So EMS providers were in the bill.
I'm sorry.
Not EMS providers were in the bill.
Mm-hmm.
Not all EMS providers were in the bill.
Correct.
Right. So some of us knew that, and some of us tried to correct it.
Okay.
And it wasn't a big hurdle. It wasn't like we were moving a mountain. We were going to try and put someone that wasn't in the same exact rig into the language. What that did was provide this opportunity. And
Right.
so the fee for including you folks now is going to be including somebody else. That's what this is about. By keeping you out, it renewed the conversation, and it allowed someone to put somebody else in there. So just so we're clear, many of us recognize this was a flaw in the bill.
Right.
That if you worked in one agency or you volunteered for one department, you were covered And even in the same community, you weren't covered if you were providing the same services to my constituents. So this is not rocket science.
Right.
This could have been taken care of that night, but this is where we are. So I look forward to the conversation about trying to make this right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Kushner?
Thank you so much for being here. I had the pleasure of meeting you that night and watching you as you learned that it wasn't going to happen. And obviously we all have differences of opinions of why, and obviously if it was an easy fix, I would have been the first to want to do that. But I didn't have the same recollection or same experience that night, and I did feel like there was a threat to the whole bill. I do want to say that I have a problem with the way workers are often divided and conquered by thinking that if I get something, I have to make sure no one else gets it, or someone else who's just as deserving doesn't get it. And I know you don't hold that view. I've had conversations with you. I guess my question is, as an EMT, how closely do you work with dispatchers?
To be honest with you, when we're in the ambulance, we're told to go where we go.
Can you just speak a little closer,
Yeah,
because I
sorry.
can't hear you too well?
Yeah, so as far as the relationship between the first line responders and the dispatchers receive the call and they tell us where to go and what type of situation, if they have that information that we're going into. Sometimes we get that information, sometimes we don't. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they don't get the whole story. But when it comes to the relationship, as far as my experience has always been, is they've always dispatched me to a location for a particular problem, and I've responded.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as what their job entails, I'm not clear. I've never been trained as a dispatcher.
And when you do get to a scene, I know you did express some concern to me previously when I spoke to you about how closely you're working with police or fire. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, when we arrive on scene, a lot of times we arrive at the same time, or somebody will arrive first or whatever the order is. But typically we're on the scene together, and we all have our roles and responsibilities. We try to make sure that we take care of each other, and it's all about being safe and taking care of whatever problem is that we're dispatched to. So it's not it's like you said, it's not rocket science, really. I mean, we all want to go home safe. We all want to take care of each other on scene, because sometimes we are in dangerous situations. So we just try to take care of each other.
Well, I'm very happy that we're getting this bill done this year, and I don't think there's anything, there's no fee for getting you included in this bill. It's just a true effort of trying to make sure that we are capturing the whole team. So I appreciate you being here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Any further comments or questions? Seeing none, I'd just like to thank you for your time today.
Thank you.